Hi everyone, and welcome to Meet the Graduate, where we talk to real graduates about their life and career after university. I'm Molly, the Student Communications Coordinator at Job Teaser, and today we're joined by Anvi, a Solutions Engineer at VMware. Hi Anvi, how are you
Hi,
today?
Molly. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. So Anvi is joining us today to talk about her career journey and how she's had to be adaptable due to the ups and downs that she's gone through since graduating. So before we dive in and talk about that, let's get some more basic information from you. So what did you study? When did you graduate, and what do you do now?
So I studied computer science at the University of City. I graduated 2 years ago, so in 2018, and part of my course was to do a placement year. So I did a placement year at VMware as an intern. So now I'm currently a solutions engineer. So what that really means is I work with the sales team and help deliver customer solutions. I present our solutions to not just customers, but like our internal colleagues, externals, partners. I get to run booths. I get to go to like external events and do a bit of presenting there. So it's mostly customer facing, to be fair.
Cool. Such a nice thing to have a woman in tech on the series. Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit and talk a bit about how you felt about your career before you graduated. So how did you think about your career whilst you were still studying, and how did you see your life after graduation going in terms of your career?
So a little bit of background. After my A levels, I didn't have the best grades, you could say. Like I had good enough grades to get into university, but it wasn't what I was expecting. So before I actually went to university, I had to do a foundation year. So I actually did a foundation year in electrical and electronic engineering at City University. So I did that. Then I went into computer science, and my first year was absolutely amazing. Like I did really well. I got really good marks, and unfortunately, it didn't count towards anything for my degree. But yeah, I did that, and then a second year came, and I absolutely it was like a complete opposite. Like I absolutely hated it. It was just so much coding, and I was a terrible coder. Like I genuinely cannot code to save my life. So it was really bad. My grades literally went from top to rock bottom, and that of course that year had to count towards my degree. So I felt really awful, to be fair. There was times where near the end of my second year I wanted to change my entire career path. I was actually looking at doing more towards arts and architecture. I just did not want to do it at all. But yeah, so I didn't have the most stable you could say progression. But what happened was, so near the end of my second year, my partner actually, he got an internship, and I was like, oh damn it, I want to get an internship too. I was like, okay, you know what, let me do an internship. So I applied for a few places, and one of them was actually VMware. And then in the end, I had about 2 options left. I had 2 offers. And the reason I went for VMware is because firstly, I'm a huge Instagrammer. So I went on the Instagram page and I saw that, oh my God, this company looks absolutely amazing. Because honestly, before that, I had no idea what VMware did.
Yeah.
So I actually went into VMware, did an internship, and did a project management internship, which is amazing because it was really cool. You get to learn a bit about the tech, you get to manage people, and no coding. So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Perfect.
And what happened was, so during my internship, I got so motivated. I was like, oh my God, I actually do like tech. I'm just having a bad, because when you're at university, all the jobs that you get offered, or all the ones that get advertised to you, all are software engineers or anything requiring coding. They don't give you many project management internships. And I was just looking at these and I was like, none of this is for me. And honestly, if it wasn't for my internship, I was literally this close to dropping out of university. I just did not want to do it at all.
Wow.
So yeah, I got motivated. I did my project management internship, and I actually went back into my third year, and my grades went shooting back up again. It's just you don't believe it, but my whole life, because it's just a literally massive zigzag.
Yeah.
So yeah, went back up. I actually got my grades balanced, and like I said, bear in mind, I'm not A grade student. I'm literally not best of best, but I feel like I literally got very lucky and got to work for one of the best or perfect companies for me.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, so I'm kind of happy that at the same time that I did that, because what happened was I think I developed like a growth mindset. So stuff always being like, oh, I'm great, great, great. I actually like went down and then I learned, I picked myself up and I went back up again. So like, it's really like, I think I've become the person I am today just because of everything that's happened. And I think it's really important, like other people who are listening to this, like know that, because a lot of times when you see people working at like very good companies or think they're super successful, you think that, oh my God, they must have been the best people. Like you think that, oh, you know, what were their challenges? And a lot of the time, a lot of people don't even talk about the struggle. Sometimes you just hear all the like the best bits, but it's nice to sometimes know that, hey, I'm normal, I'm human, I make mistakes, I do just as bad as anyone else. So yeah, I did that, and now I'm here as a solution engineer, because after I did finish my third year, I actually they weren't hiring project management graduates, which was a shame. So then somehow I ended up being a solution engineer, which is another story.
Yeah, we'll have a little talk about that maybe a bit later on, but I'd like to go back to your placement year and your internship. So such an important point that, you know, internships and placement years can give you a real taste for companies and a taste for the working world, and in your case really give you a massive boost, but in some other people's cases can really help them refocus what they want to do. For you, I was just wondering, when you started your internship or your placement year, did you feel nervous? Were you excited? You know, how did you, that was your first kind of experience of the working world. How did you find that? And how did you kind of adapt to going from a student, well, you were still a student while you were working there, into the working environment?
Okay, so when I first went in, I was completely like nervous, petrified. Like I was so nervous because, like I said initially, I did not know what VMware did. And then when I looked at like researched the company, I saw the Instagram. Like, it looked like a really fun community, but then I realized it's actually quite a big company.
Yeah.
And I was scared that I'll be going in being one of like, because like I said, after second year, I felt like I was one of the dumb ones, you know. So I felt like, oh my God, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna know nothing, and I'm gonna look like an absolute idiot, you know. So I actually went in, and like obviously the first week was it's always daunting because you doubt everything. You feel like, oh, am I even meant to be here? But the good thing about VMware was that, so they hired around 30 interns, and everyone was so nice. And when you speak to them, you realize, oh my God, like they're just like me. They're great people. And like my managers, my team, all the interns around me, they were so friendly. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like they gave me so much responsibility. Like I actually had a role. I wasn't just there making coffee and tea, you know. I was actually making money for the company. I was actually doing like important tasks, which, you know, all my seniors would be doing. So I felt like, oh my God, like they trust me. Again, my manager was so nice. And like one of the thing about me is that I'll work for pretty much anyone and do pretty much any role as long as I have a good team and a good manager. Because like you end up spending most of your time with these people, and I wanted to just feel happy where I was. So like my manager was absolutely like amazing, and I had such a good time. They did lots of training. They put me through like new hires training. They really got me up to speed with everything, and they were like, I don't remember like ever getting in trouble for doing anything. If I ever made a mistake, we would always find a solution. But it was just a really like nice place to work. And I was like, okay, I don't, even though that's actually that is the only corporate company I've ever worked for, I made up my mind there and then, like, no matter what, I am coming back to VMware. Like, it's such an amazing place. And I think the worst part is I can say it, but like until you work there, you don't really realize. But that's the thing, that we have an Instagram page now, so like people can just check that out, and you actually kind of see the company culture on our Instagram pages as well. But it's literally amazing.
Yeah, I think it's so important to not only think about the job you want to do, but the kind of company you want to work for, and the kind of people you want to work for, and your work style, and the kind of team build up you want to have. Because you're right, it's so important. Okay, that's amazing. It's such a nice story to hear that you kind of stumbled into something that you really love. So you did touch on it a bit earlier, but talking about, you know, leaving university and actually now looking for a full permanent grad job, could you tell me a little bit about how you got your specific role now and the job searching process after graduation? I know you said you wanted to go back to VMware, which is amazing, but I wonder if you looked at any other companies or whether you had any kind of plan B or anything.
Okay, so what I'm about to say, I don't recommend to anyone because it's like literally putting all your eggs in one basket, and that's kind of what I did. So I applied to 2 companies. Okay, and again, like I said, I would not recommend this at all because so I applied to VMware and another company which I honestly cannot remember, and I was on the final stage for both of them. And I did the assessment center for the graduate role. So a quick story. I actually reached out to the recruiter to say, hey, you're not hiring any project management graduates, but is there anything else that I could do? Because I'm actually really interested in coming back. And she was like, oh, hi, Anvi. Nice to see you reached out. We actually have a solution engineer graduate role, which is a little bit more technical to what you're doing, but it's customer facing. And I really did want a customer facing role. So I was like, oh, this might be a really good thing for me. So then I remember thinking, okay, maybe I did a computer science background, so I could potentially do this. So I went in thinking I probably won't get, but I was like, let me go and try. So I did the assessment center and everything went really well. But again, like I said, my whole career is like a zigzag. I was this close to getting it, but they actually called me and said that I was one of the reserves. So I didn't even get the job that I'm doing now. And honestly, I was so gutted. Like I was so gutted because I knew that meant that I would have to go for the other job, which I didn't want to do it. Like it was like an analyst job and I just did not want to do it. And I was absolutely gutted that I didn't get it. But I was like, hey ho, whatever happens, happens. And then literally about a few days later, they were like, actually, we're happy to give you the role now. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. But then I was like, do I want to go back? Like maybe I wasn't good enough. So then my confidence was so low because I was like, do I want to go back? Will I be good enough? Clearly I wasn't like their first choice. So I'm definitely missing something. So it was like a long thinking process. Like, should I go back? Should I not? At the same time, the other, like, not negative, but another reason I was a little hesitant was, so if I was to go for this role, I would have to relocate to Ireland.
Right, okay.
Now, I have never lived out. I have never moved out from my house. I don't know how to cook, clean. I don't even know how to use a stupid washing machine. Like, I know nothing and it's awful. And I was like, how on earth am I going to live out in Ireland? So that was another thing. And when you think of Ireland, like, I've never been there. It's not one of like the holiday hotspots either. It wasn't like, oh, super sunny, or like I had literally no appeal to go there. I just did not want to go. So yeah, it was a bit like my graduate search was literally so stressful. But I think in the end, I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go there. And even when I went there for the first week, I was literally crying my eyes out. I was like, what have I done? I want to go back home. It was just like an emotional like roller coaster. But like the reason I actually did go back was during my graduate like job search, I actually got rejected for one of the companies and asked for feedback. And they said to me, oh, you lack professionalism. Like I'm very animated in the way I talk. Like they were like, we'll give you tips. You should, always use your hands under the table when you're talking. And I was like, this isn't me. Like I was like, okay, fine. But then I remembered when I did my internship interview, and after I finished my internship, my manager said to me, it might take you a bit longer to where you want to get, but you're amazing. Never ever change. Don't change anything about you. Even if it takes you a little bit longer, don't change, because like you're great. Like you're great at what you do. You're a great person. And like that kind of stuck with me, and it still sticks with me today. Like anytime anyone gives me feedback, which is more about like me rather than like not having enough all the skills, I'm like, okay, that's not the company for me, because there's people out there who are happy to hire me with who I am. So yeah, that was the reason, one of the biggest reasons I was like, look, I'm just going to go to VMware, I'm going to do this. And I actually said yes, and I actually relocated to Ireland for a year and a half, and I only came back to the UK about a few months ago. So yeah, that was my graduate search.
So much important stuff in there, but I just wanted to touch on a few things. First of all, what you just said about being yourself, I think is so important, especially when you're a graduate, looking for a grad role. You can kind of think that because you've just been at university, that you need to change and become this person that you're not, just to, secure your first job. And professionalism seems so different to you, when really you're right. If you're yourself, you'll find a company that matches you, and you'll find a company that you like working at because they like you and who you are. So I love that piece of advice. It's so important. Another thing I wanted to touch on was you spoke about messaging the recruiter at VMware, which is, I guess, a really good example of networking. So would you recommend that's something to do, or did you have any, like, were you a bit nervous to message them, or did you just think, right, I'm just going to ask? Because I think a lot of the time we talk about networking, a lot of graduates are a bit anxious to actually network, but that's a really good example of how you can do
it. So the recruiter I reached out to, we only had one, and she was super nice. She was super friendly. And when I first joined, she did all these like picnics and stuff to get all the interns together. Like, it was like I felt like she was more of a colleague than like someone who hired me.
Okay,
At the
cool.
same time, she actually organized a lot of events, and I actually helped out a lot of events. So that's the reason I was able to network with her so well. And I felt very comfortable just to ask her, I just literally dropped her a quick email to say, hey, I'm interested in coming back. Do you think there's any roles out there which I would be suited to? And yeah, she was super friendly with me. So I definitely do encourage it. Like, the worst they're gonna say is probably we don't have anything for you.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's such a good step. Okay, so you just mentioned that you had to relocate. You know, as a graduate, you've obviously just finished your degree. You most of the time, well, not most of the time, but a lot of the time, you may have moved somewhere already, and you find this dream job, and suddenly it's just not in the city or even in the country that you wanted to be in. So maybe you could talk a little bit more about how you felt doing that and how you kind of managed to adapt to not only the life change, but you were also starting your graduate job at the same time. Not only were you moving country, but you also kind of starting your professional career. So I don't know if you have any advice on how to adapt to that and how to, you know, become successful even when you're dealing with so much change.
So like when I went to Ireland, so I was told that it would be like a year and a half to 3 years that I would have to be in Ireland before I get to go back to my home country. So when I first went in, I was actually like, oh, when do I get to go back? Can I go back in a year? And I was very, very pushy. I was like, I just want to go back. I just want to go back. Not going to lie, now when I think about it, I'm so happy I did that, because it was the best transition from university to a job. Like, doing a graduate scheme is amazing because it feels like you're still at university. I was surrounded by so many graduates who were a similar age to me, who had a similar background to me. And I felt so welcomed. I felt so, like, after a while, I was like, this is amazing. I'm actually back at university, but I'm actually getting paid to do a job. So it was literally amazing. And honestly, even now, I think of that being my best year ever, to the point where when they did send me back, I was like, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Don't send me back. So I feel like go really out of your comfort zone, because imagine I didn't go out of my comfort zone, did this. Like, I'm saying literally last year was the best year ever, and that wouldn't have happened if I didn't like step out of my comfort zone and try something new. And it was completely nerve-wracking. So like I said, advice would be step out of your comfort zone. Oh, and don't ever so when you're doing an interview, don't ever tailor or change your answers according to what you think they want to hear. Because in the end, if you do that, you end up working for someone who they think you're someone else, and you basically, it's not the right job for you. Like, there were so many times before when I was applying for internships, they'll be like, what's your hobbies? And I would always say the stuff they want to hear, like, oh yeah, I love cooking, I love reading. I can't cook, I don't like reading, no. But like, I was always so scared. I just wanted to work somewhere. So I always tailored my answers. And it was only when I went to like the last few interviews during my internship, I just kind of gave up, and I was just completely myself. And that's when my manager told me, like, never ever change. And since then, even for like grad roles, even though I applied to 2 companies and everything, I literally was completely myself. I did not even try and be someone I wasn't. Like, it was just me, like plain old me. And I was like, if they're happy to hire me like this, that's amazing. Obviously, you do some prep around the company and everything, but like, never ever like tailor your answers to what they want to hear, because you won't end up having the best time ever.
Yeah, that's so true. I wonder if you could just say quickly whether, when the idea of moving to Ireland or relocating was brought up, were you quite honest with how you felt about that, or did you feel like you couldn't really show that you were scared? Or I wonder how you dealt with that in the process.
So when I was actually asked that, I literally said to them, so how long will I need to be here for? And I think I made it quite obvious that I was very, I didn't want to go. Saying that, they literally reassured me. They were like, oh, you go through a 6-week training program with all the graduates. it's amazing, by the way. You have like lunches together, you have breakfast together, you have team events, you go bowling. Like it felt like having a little family. And
Yeah.
I don't even know how many were there. Was like 30 or 40, and they were all from all around the world. And they kept saying like you'll meet so many different people from all different like backgrounds and countries. And they were like, we have like a shuttle bus service. You will be living together for the first few weeks. And it was just like they really made me feel like, okay, you know what? When I go there, I won't be by myself. I'll be with this whole group of people who are like literally going for the same thing as me. And they really encouraged me. And they even said that obviously going for a technical role, so there'll be like a technical stream track which you'll follow. So you have 6 weeks of absolute training. You'll get everything they need to do your job. Then you get some shadowing opportunities. And they literally told me everything. And not gonna lie, not even a one word of it was a lie. Like I experienced it. And if you're, it was just amazing. Like I don't have words for it, but everything they said was actually true. And I'm just so happy I actually went.
It fits in so nicely with what you're saying about don't tailor your answers, you know, because I'm sure most people who went on that, who relocated, were feeling a bit anxious or a bit apprehensive. And I'm sure VMware knew that as well. So there was no need for you to, you know, pretend. Okay, perfect. So just to finish off, I was just wondering if you had you've given us loads of great advice, but any like parting words or maybe 1 or 2 pieces of advice that you'd like to leave our students and grads, especially around being adaptable, and kind of like how to embrace change.
So I feel like I think it's important like to fail, not even fail, but like to have your ups and downs, because every time I had something that didn't work out for me, I learned from that. I got better, and I've become so much better at what I do now. Like I know a lot of my friends when things didn't work out, they kind of gave up and they would settle for something else. And I'm just thinking, don't do that, because like even now when people come up to me, like at VMware, people think of me, like not to boast, but people think of me, oh, you're really successful, because I get to do loads of like really cool initiatives. I get to work with the CTO. I help out women in tech. I've got all these like other programs that I help out with, and everyone's like, oh my god, how do you get to do so much and everything? And it's just, I'm always like, I'm just honest. I'm quite loud. I speak my mind. Whenever I do fail, I don't like let it get to me. I just start working and try again and keep trying again, and just do stuff that you don't really feel comfortable doing in the first place.
Yeah.
Like the things I do now, like I speak to I've actually spoken to 300 people and I'm not confident. I'm not public. I never could do public speaking. Like if you read all my like school reports, it kept saying, oh, she's a very shy girl. She's a very quiet, shy girl. And now people are like, oh, you're loud. We can't, shut you up. Like I literally feel like I've become an opposite person just because I keep like having this like you could say like unstable progression, but it's making me better and better. And to the point where I think it's important to even like talk about all your struggles, your failures, because a lot of people don't do that. I don't think. Like a lot of the time you hear all these success stories and you just hear like all the best bits, but you don't actually hear what they had to go through. And I think it's important to just share with even your colleagues like all the struggles you're feeling, because everyone will be there to help you and you'll just get better. Like there's no shame in saying, okay, I failed, I didn't get the best grades, I had to do a foundation year, I wasn't the first choice for the job I'm doing now, but like now I'm perfect for the role. Like I'm doing such a good job at it. So yeah, don't feel like talk about things that didn't work out for you. Like don't be shy to just admit it. Like no one's going to judge you. If anything, you're just going to get more and more help, and you'll end up being like in the place you want to be, and you'll be so happy.
Yeah, completely. So much useful advice there. And going through these ups and downs and going through these failures and kind of overcoming these hurdles just makes you more confident and less scared, and kind of makes you want to put yourself out there more. So that's great. Thank you. So yeah, I think that's everything from us today. Thank you again, Anvi, for joining us and sharing your story with us. It's super useful for all of our students and recent grads to hear about how your career journey is never just one smooth linear path. So thank you again. To everyone watching, don't forget to follow Job Teaser on Twitter at Job Teaser UK, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Job Teaser UK, where this video will be uploaded. Yeah, thanks again everyone for coming and watching, and thank you again, Anvi, and I hope everyone has a great week.